Hello and welcome back to another lesson. Today's lesson is going to be based on all the Zentangle worksheets that we've done previously. But this time you get a chance to take all those designs that you've done on those worksheets and apply them in a drawing, a design, something that you decide, how to create it. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to use only the designs that we have done in those worksheets. You can definitely add your own spin on things. You can create a variety of designs based on your imagination, or you can copy other designs that you might find on Pinterest or anywhere on the internet. So one thing that I try to do for you is to replicate what your composition book might look like. So when you are working on this, make sure that you are using a 2-page spread as you see over here. And then the next step that you want to do is you want to add a bunch of different shapes and lines. Now notice that all of my lines are either curved or straight. I have some circles in there. You can definitely add other shapes. However, what I really need you to do is to make sure that you go off the edges, as you see here. Oops. Let me go to that layer. I'm sorry. So as you see over here, here, so anywhere you see going off the edge, make sure that you do the same. You don't want this design to be looking like it's confined to the 4 borders. Make sure that it looks like it's continuing on. Another type of design that you can do is just lines. Just make lines straight, use a ruler. And one thing that I highly recommend is that you do this double line type of thing. Now, my lines over here are, I don't know, about, it's not even one of your squares, but you can definitely go 1 square. Don't go any more than 1 square, because then your line is going to dominate instead of the design that you have in there. So this one, obviously you can see that there's a bunch of lines that are going in all kinds of directions, and of course they're going off the edge. Another type of design that you want to do, or you might want to do, is just a bunch of circles. You can make big circles, small circles. Obviously I have a couple of curved lines in there, intersecting, of course, shapes, and then of course shapes that go off the edge of my paper. Another design that you can do is, let me turn that off, is, well, where did I go? Okay, so another design that you can do is a bunch of different shapes like this. However, do not stop here, okay? Don't just make these shapes and call it a day. You definitely want to go in and add some more lines in there, because you want the whole entire design to be, okay, I keep missing my layer, okay. You want to add more lines in here because you want to close down this area right here. So this particular area right here up to the circle, you don't want that to be too, you don't want that to continue on forever. Having so much negative space in there, and I'm calling a negative space all this area that is in between all these shapes. You don't want to have that much negative space in there. You want to be able to create as many different designs and as many different enclosed areas as you can possibly fit in there. And you can do that by simply adding a few more lines, straight, curved, however you want to add them in there. So if you feel like, let's say that this space right here, all this space, let's say that just feels a little bit too big. Okay, so you can then add maybe another shape that sort of breaks up that space. Okay, so now you have more areas to make designs in. Okay, so you can do something like that as well. Now, if you want to do something that is a little bit more dramatic, you can do something that uses a very, very thick marker. And of course, you don't want it to be super thick because you don't want the whole page to be black. However, if you have something that is slightly thicker than your regular Sharpie, you can definitely do something like this, and then this particular border can be decorated with designs using a white gel pen. And you can do various designs in these lines. And let me thicken up my, so you can do something that's very decorative where you make some dots maybe. Maybe you want to add some scallops like this, and you can decide how you want to do your lines. You can even do these very random, I like to call them stitch marks. You can consider that this over here is another line going on top, so it doesn't have to be only like two-dimensional. You can suggest some kind of three-dimensional qualities. So that's another idea for you. Let me get rid of all that. So here are a bunch of different designs that you can do. Okay, so let's well, you know what? Why don't I use one of the designs that I already made? Could this be one? No. Let's do this one. Kind of like this one. So so if I have a double line like this, I can leave it white and then go in with an eraser and maybe erase, some of these intersection points like that. Or another thing that you can do is basically, oh goodness, I didn't want to do the whole entire thing. I think my line is just too thin. Let's see if I can do something. There you go. Okay. So I can go in and I can maybe color in the whole thing with black like this. And I do recommend that you do this mostly in black and white, simply because once you add color, you can get too overwhelmed with, oh, what color should I use here, and then it becomes more stressful than it's supposed to be. So if you were to do something like that, that's another option. Now, how do you fill in the space? If you have your composition book with lines, then your work is pretty much done for you. So you can actually use the lines that you have in there to do your designs like we did on the worksheets. And in that case, you just fill in with various designs that you want to do. Okay, and then you can do whatever design you want. I'm just gonna do something very simple right now, no biggie. This would be so much easier if it could be done using a ruler, of course. Okay, and then you can start coloring. I forgot to make some lines here. Okay. Okay, so you get the idea, how we're gonna do this coloring. I can certainly finish designing this a little bit faster. And as always, when you start coloring, you realize, oh, I forgot another spot. But that's okay. There's no hurry, right? Okay, so let's just call that a day. with this one design, because I want to show you some more areas. So let's say that that's one of your designs. If you're going to be doing this one particular design in this spot, I highly recommend that you go and repeat it in at least two more spots. So you have, your eye going from here maybe to here, and then maybe to, let's say, here. Okay, so you want to fill in your paper with the same design in three different spots at least. You always want to use the rules of odd numbers. So you don't want to have 2 or 4 or 6. You want to have 3, you want to have 5, you want to have 7. That is always a whole lot more pleasing to the eye. So once you have done that, then you can move on to make another design, and you'll see how fast your whole entire paper is going to be filled up with various things. Now you also want to have some kind of contrast between your designs. So if I have this particular design in this spot, the next box that I have here, you want to have something that has a bit more contrast. So make something that maybe is using curves or is slightly lighter in color. I'm gonna do something that has a bit more of a curvy look to it. Okay, so when you are doing that, you are creating a whole lot more interest to your artwork. Okay, so I made this like this on purpose to show you a very common mistake that I see all of my students do, and that is when they create a design, they forget to go over to the end of the edges. So don't just leave your designs floating like that. You do want them to continue off the edge. So make sure that your design continues and it does not end abruptly, halfway to the edge. Even if it's as little as this tiny little line, even if that's the case, you really do want to make sure that you continue and extend your design. Otherwise, it just looks odd. So once again, you want to take that particular design that we just did and repeat it in at least two more places. Okay, so you have a nice pleasing design going all the way across. Now, another thing that you want to consider doing is maybe introduce some organic type of designs. Now, we haven't done any of those designs in our worksheets, but if you look on Pinterest, you're going to find a bunch of different designs of that sort. So, what do I mean by organic designs? Think back to our irregular type of designs, or irregular rhythm, or irregular pattern. Okay, so here's the beginning of something that we're all familiar with, and that is a checkerboard design, but in this particular case the design is done in an irregular type of way. These are always so much more interesting to look at. So you can actually do a whole entire artwork just with irregular designs like this. But I'll show you how interesting that looks when you shade in. There. How much fun is that to have something that is very curvy like that happening in your design? Once again, you want to kind of repeat that. Now you won't be able to repeat it perfectly, but that's okay as long as it's checkerboard and you're using those curvy lines, you will do just fine. So as a matter of fact, any one of the designs that I have shown you in your worksheets can be done using curvy lines. So for example, let me think of one that might work here. Okay, so let's see. Anything that starts out with a square pattern can be transformed into one of these. So you want to do a very light, super light pencil grid that has these kinds of curves to them. Okay. Okay, so let me finish this over here just to make sure that it's nice and clean on the edge. Okay, so now you can go in and say, well, I remember Missy starting out with something that had like a square in the middle, and maybe this on the edge like that. So now what you can do is you can do basically the same thing. Now your squares are going to be uneven in every single one of these boxes, and you kind of want to follow the shape or not. I mean, you can go in different, you can take different approaches to this. Okay, so hopefully you get the idea. Let's shade in. Let's do another one. Okay, so this one didn't want to color because it wasn't filled in all the way. Okay, but so you get the idea how cool that's gonna look once it's all shaded in. So like I said, any of these designs can be transformed doing these irregular type of patterns, and I think you would have a whole lot of fun doing those things. If it's easier for you to fill in the spaces with just the geometric, very even type of designs, that's fine too. As long as you are repeating that design 3 times throughout the entire artwork, you should be fine. Make sure that it's not right next to it, and don't go here and then go over here. You want to have a little bit of visual space in between the designs. So hopefully this is going to help you to move on to the project, and if you have any questions or if you need any help with anything, you can always ask me and I'll be more than happy to explain it further to you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.